You open the box. For about 10 seconds, it feels great. Then you look at your bank app, and that good feeling turns into something heavier. You ask yourself, why did I buy this? I can't even really afford it. If that has ever happened to you, you're not alone, and you're not careless, and you're not bad with money. Something else is going on. Something most people never stop to think about. Today, we're not talking about budgets or savings accounts or interest rates. We're talking about something underneath all of that. We're talking about why people, smart people, hardworking people, buy things they cannot afford again and again, even when they promise themselves they will not do it next time. Once you understand why it happens, you gain something powerful. You gain the ability to catch yourself before the purchase, instead of regretting it after. Let's start with the biggest myth out there. The myth that overspending is about math. Most people assume that spending too much comes down to numbers. Not enough income, not enough discipline, not enough knowledge about money. But if that were true, high earners would never struggle financially. And yet many people who earn large salaries still live paycheck to paycheck, still carry debt, still buy things they cannot really afford. That tells us something important. Overspending is rarely a math problem. It is usually a feelings problem wearing a money costume. Every purchase you make is really two purchases happening at once. There's the item itself, the shoes, the phone, the furniture, the vacation. And there's the feeling you are hoping that item will give you. Relief, excitement, comfort, status, a sense of being okay. Most of the time, you're not actually buying the object. You're buying the feeling you expect it to bring. And that is exactly why buying things you cannot afford is so hard to stop with logic alone. You cannot out-argue a feeling with a spreadsheet. So let's look closely at where these feelings come from, one at a time. Reason 1, buying to fix a feeling, not a need. Think about the last time you bought something you did not plan to buy. Now think back. What were you feeling right before you bought it? Were you stressed after a hard day? Bored on a Sunday afternoon? Lonely at night? Scrolling on your phone? Proud of yourself and wanting to celebrate? Angry at someone and wanting to feel in control of something? This is one of the most common reasons people spend money they do not have. They are not shopping for an item. They are shopping for relief. Buying something new gives your brain a small burst of excitement. For a few minutes or a few hours, the stress fades into the background. The boredom lifts. The sadness softens. It genuinely works in the short term. The problem is that the feeling you're trying to fix is still there the next day. The stress at work is still there. The loneliness is still there. But now there is also a receipt and sometimes a payment plan sitting on top of it. This is why so many people describe shopping as something that feels good in the moment and terrible an hour later. It was never really about the item. It was an attempt to change how you felt, using money instead of actually dealing with the feeling itself. Reason 2, your brain cannot feel your future self. Here's something strange about how our minds work. When you imagine buying something today, your brain treats it almost like a memory of something exciting. But when you imagine paying for it next month, your brain treats that future version of you almost like a stranger. That is not an exaggeration. It is close to how our minds are actually wired. The person who has to deal with the credit card bill in 3 weeks does not feel real to you right now. They feel distant, almost like someone else's problem. This is why "I'll figure out later" feels so easy to say in the moment. Later you does not feel like the same person as right now you. Right now you wants the item. Later you has to find the money, and right now you is not the one who has to deal with that. Once you understand this gap, you can start closing on purpose. Before a purchase, instead of asking, "Do I want this right now?" try asking, "Will the version of me paying for this in a month still think it was worth it?" That single shift, imagining your future self as a real person instead of a stranger, can quietly change a lot of your decisions. Reason 3, the quiet pressure to keep up. Nobody likes to admit this one, but it is real for almost everyone. We are constantly, quietly comparing ourselves to the people around us and adjusting our spending to match without even realizing we are doing it. Maybe a coworker got a new car, and suddenly your old one feels embarrassing, even though it still runs perfectly fine. Maybe a friend posted photos from an expensive trip, and suddenly your ordinary weekend feels boring. Maybe everyone in your family upgrades their phone every year, so yours starts to feel outdated even when nothing is actually wrong with it. This is not really about the car, or the trip, or the phone. It is about a fear underneath all of it, a fear of falling behind, a fear of looking like you're struggling, a fear of being judged by people whose opinion probably will not matter to you in 5 years. The tricky part is that this pressure rarely arrives as a clear thought like, I want to impress people. It shows up disguised as small, reasonable-sounding thoughts. I deserve this. Everyone has one. It's not that expensive. Sometimes those thoughts are true, but sometimes they're just a fear of comparison, wearing a very convincing disguise. A simple way to catch this is to ask yourself one honest question before purchase. Would I still want this exact item at this exact price if nobody else would ever see it or know I had it? If the answer changes once you remove other people from the picture, that tells you something worth paying attention to. Reason 4. Spending has been made almost invisible. There's a reason overspending is more common now than it was a few decades ago, and it has nothing to do with people becoming worse at managing money. It has to do with how spending itself has changed. Years ago, buying something usually meant handling actual cash. You could physically feel the money leaving your hand. There was a small, natural pause built into every purchase. Now, spending can happen with one tap. No cash, no counting, no pause. Many stores let you buy something today and split the payment into smaller pieces over the following weeks, which makes an expensive item feel like a small one, even though the total is exactly the same. Subscriptions quietly renew every month without you ever making a new decision to keep paying for them. None of this happened by accident. It was designed this way specifically to remove the small moments of friction that used to make you stop and think. Every extra step you have to take before spending money is a chance for your brain to catch up with your emotions. Remove the steps, and you remove the pause. Remove the pause, and spending starts to feel like nothing at all right up until the bill arrives. Understanding this is not about blaming yourself. It is about realizing the deck was quietly stacked in favor of spending and deciding to add some of that friction back on purpose, which we will get into shortly. Reason 5. The good deal feeling. Have you ever bought something you did not originally want purely because it was on sale? This happens constantly, and it works because of something called anchoring. Here is a simple example. Imagine seeing a jacket originally priced at $200, now marked down to $80. Even if $80 is still more than you plan to spend, your brain compares it to the $200, and $80 suddenly feels like a smart decision, almost like you're saving money rather than spending it. But the truth is, you never had the $200 sitting in your account being saved. You are still spending $80 you did not plan to spend on an item you did not originally want. The deal was real, but the need for the purchase, in most cases, was invented after the fact to justify how good the discount felt. This does not mean sales are evil or that you should never buy anything discounted. It means the feeling of getting a deal is powerful enough to talk you into purchases that have nothing to do with your actual plans or needs. Recognizing that feeling for what it is takes away most of its power over you. Reason 6. Buying is a way to avoid a bigger problem. This last reason is the one people talk about the least, and it might be the most important one of all. Sometimes spending money is not really about the item, or the feeling, or the comparison to other people. Sometimes it is a way of avoiding something much bigger and much harder to face. A career that feels stuck. A relationship that is under strain. A body that does not feel healthy anymore. A quiet fear about getting older without much to show for it. Buying something new gives you a small, controllable win in a life that might feel like it has very few of those right now. For a moment, you get to make a decision, get an immediate result, and feel a small sense of progress, even if the real, harder problem is still sitting there completely untouched. This is not a character flaw. It is a human response to stress. But it is worth being honest with yourself about, because no amount of shopping will fix a stuck career, a strained relationship, or a difficult season of life. It can only distract you from it, temporarily, while quietly adding a new problem of its own. Reason 7. The story you tell yourself after the fact. There is one more piece to this puzzle, and it happens after the purchase, not before it. It is the story you build to make the decision feel logical, even when it started as something purely emotional. Think about how this usually goes. You buy something on impulse. Almost immediately, without even noticing, your mind starts building a case for why it was actually a smart decision. I'll wear this all the time. This will save me money in the long run. I work hard, I deserve this. I can always return it if I change my mind. Sometimes these reasons are completely true, but often they're invented after the purchase already happened, not before it, purely to make you feel better about a decision your emotions already made for you. Your mind is not like feeling irrational, so it quietly works backward, building a logical-sounding explanation for something that was never really about logic in the first place. This matters because it explains why simply thinking it through does not always stop overspending. If your brain is skilled at inventing justifications after the fact, it can do the same thing before the fact too. The way around this is not to distrust every purchase you make. It is to notice when you're building a justification very quickly, almost defensively, before anyone has even questioned you. A genuinely planned purchase rarely needs an instant, ready-made explanation. An impulsive one usually does. How to actually break the pattern. Knowing why this happens is powerful, but only if you use that knowledge before the moment you are reaching for your wallet, not after. Here are a few simple habits that make a real difference without requiring willpower alone. First, build in a pause. Before any purchase that is not a basic necessity, wait 24 hours if it is a smaller amount, or a full week if it is a larger one. Most urges fade with a little time. If you still want the item after the waiting period, it was probably a genuine decision. If the urge disappeared, it was probably an emotional impulse. Second, name the feeling before you buy. Ask yourself, honestly, what you're feeling right before you make the purchase. Stressed, bored, lonely, proud, anxious, tired. Simply naming the feeling out loud, even to yourself, takes away some of its grip and helps you see the purchase for what it actually is. Third, add friction back into your spending. Remove saved payment information from shopping apps, so you have to manually enter your card details each time. Turn off one-click buying. Unsubscribe from marketing emails that exist purely to create urges you did not have 5 minutes earlier. These small obstacles bring back the pause that modern spending was designed to remove. Fourth, separate wants from needs on paper, not just in your head. Keep a running list on your phone of things you want to buy. When something comes to mind, add it to the list instead of buying it immediately. Come back to that list in a week or two. You will often find that most items on it no longer feel important, and the ones that still do are the ones worth actually spending on. Fifth, find a cheaper way to meet the real need underneath the purchase. If you tend to shop when you're stressed, look for another way to release that stress. One that does not cost anything: a walk, a phone call with someone you trust, even 10 minutes of doing absolutely nothing. If you tend to shop when you're bored, look for a free way to fill that time instead. The goal is not to eliminate every form of comfort in your life. The goal is to stop outsourcing all of your comfort to your bank account. The bigger picture. None of this means you should never buy anything you enjoy. Money is meant to be used, not just stored and stared at. The goal here is not guilt. The goal is awareness. When you understand why you're reaching for your wallet, you get to make an actual choice instead of reacting automatically to a feeling, a comparison, or a clever design built to remove your pause button. That is the real difference between someone who is constantly buying things they cannot afford and someone who occasionally treats themselves on purpose with money they actually have. You did not end up here because you are careless or bad with money. You ended up here because you are human, living inside a world that is very good at turning feelings into purchases. The good news is that once you can see the pattern clearly, it starts to lose its grip on you. Next time you feel the pull to buy something you cannot really afford, pause for just a moment and ask yourself one simple question. Am I buying this item, or am I buying a feeling I could find another way? That one question, asked consistently, can change more about your financial life than any budget ever could. If you take only one thing away from this video, let it be this. Every time you feel the pull to buy something, there are really two questions worth asking, not one. Not just can I afford this, but what am I actually hoping this will fix? Sometimes the honest answer is simple. You genuinely need the item, you have thought it through, and it fits comfortably into your life. Buy it and enjoy it without guilt. But sometimes the honest answer points somewhere else entirely, toward a feeling, a comparison, a story, or a problem the purchase was never actually going to solve. Learning to tell the difference is not something you master in one day. It is a skill, the same way budgeting or saving is a skill, built slowly through repetition, one small pause at a time. Your spending habits were learned, often without you ever choosing them on purpose. That means they can be unlearned the same way, quietly, patiently, one honest pause at a time, starting with the very next thing you feel the urge to buy.